Lot going on in the world of Alabama, including a flip of a former four-star Alabama recruit that went to Auburn, now coming back to the Crimson Tide. Spring practice is starting on Monday, and the basketball game last night. We're going to hit all that right here on the show. Sunday rollback, and we're live, everybody. Can you believe that? So before we do anything else, let me invite you to the party. Over 5,000 strong. If you're not a member of what we're doing, make sure that you subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying roll tide. And let's get this thing going. We're going to wash the bad taste out of our mouths after last night's loss. And we're going to move on to football, a sport where we dominate Tennessee and the rest of the SEC. Roll tide, everybody. Let's get this thing going. Everybody, and look at this crew. Mick Gillispie at Broadcaster Mick. I see you, Big Elmo, down there from Jasper, Alabama, WJLX. I see you, Catfish, Chad Anderson, hanging out with us from Nashville. And I got my buddy David Lee here. You guys probably know him, or maybe you don't, but you should, because he is one of the greatest Elvis tribute artists. By the way, I might have caught one of his shows recently, but a big Alabama fan as well from Birmingham. Great to have all you guys here.
Man, it's good to be here. Morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning, David. Good morning. I hate I missed your show because I was down there, but I had basketball duties.
Shame on you. Shame on you. You'll have to catch another one, Brett.
I will.
Yeah, we needed a little bit of Elvis in the building last night at Coleman Coliseum.
Heartbreaker, man.
I know. We're going to get into that. I know, Chad, you were at the game, and there's a lot that you want to talk about. You've been chomping at the bit since driving back to Nashville. But let's get into some good stuff first, guys. And David, I want to talk about what you do as well on the show today, because I think it is really fascinating and fantastic. But, guys, the best news of the day was right before tip-off, Antonio Coleman flipped back to Alabama. So what a run this has been. He started out an Alabama commit. Then he went to Auburn, right? Because I don't think he was really kind of mixing with Nick Saban, honestly.
Right.
And then all of a sudden now he's back, and he's a part of this Alabama recruiting class, which to me is fantastic.
It's absolutely great, and it shows that Kalen DeBoer's got what it takes. He flipped a guy back from Auburn. That in itself is great, but we're going to be in good shape with this guy. I feel good about him. I've heard comparisons to Peter Woods with Antonio Coleman. I think he's going to be a fantastic addition, and glad to have him on board, and glad to see we're trending back in the right direction, baby. No more abandonment. They're all coming back now, Nick.
Oh, I feel it.
Mick, I thought Kalen DeBoer couldn't recruit.
Yeah, that's what they said, right?
I thought Kalen DeBoer was Brian Harsin. I thought he couldn't recruit. I thought he wasn't a fit. I didn't think he could come to the South and do that. I am interested in what tipped the scale, because that's a big flip back. So, I mean, what was it? You know, are you right? Was it the Saban thing? Like, did they just not mesh, which is possible? Did Kane Womack seal the deal for Alabama? Like, was that a key piece of it? I don't know, but I would love, man, you know, we get to talk about this stuff, but so many times I'd love to know what goes on behind the scenes. Yeah, it's kind of like a movie production. Like, how do you do all these tricks and make things look the way they look? I'd love to know it in the world of sports. You know, how do these things happen? How do they come together like this?
Hey, Auburn, Merry Flipmas. Remember when they flipped Big Tony over, right? 2 days before Christmas Day, and he posted Merry Flipmas, the little ornament. Well, guess what, Auburn? Merry Flipmas. Their prized recruit from the 2025 class. This was supposed to be the highest ranked recruit in their class, moving back to the University of Alabama. And he says on his X account, 1,000% committed to the Crimson Tide, the 6'2", 280 lineman from Saraland. Of course, another guy from Saraland coming in. So roll tide, baby.
I have a feeling that Brett means something else when he says flipmas. I feel like Brett's got a little different idea of the word.
A lot of emphasis on the F there, I think.
Yeah.
Flip us.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big get for Alabama, and it really shows Freddie Roach is a great recruiter. It also shows the impact, as you mentioned, David, that that Coach DeBoer is the real deal. And it's hard to recruit when you're at Washington. It's hard to recruit when you're at Fresno State. If you're at it at Alabama, all you got to do is just follow the bread trails. And we saw Nick Saban and Coach DeBoer together at the same place, the basketball game yesterday. And maybe he's listening to what Coach Saban has to say.
I think a lot of that's not by accident. I think they want them to be seen together. You know, Nick Saban, what better advisor could you have? But also, I'm cool with the fact that DeBoer's kind of taking his own. You know, he's opened the media back up. You know, the next round guys are in there doing an interview. I think that's cool. He's kind of doing it his own way, which that's the way you got to do it. You can't go in there and try to exactly copy what Nick Saban's done. You got to be yourself. And I like the start that we're off to. I think it's going to be great. I really do. There's an excitement there, almost like he's creating a new program, but you got all the history and everything and what Nick Saban left, the keys to the castle there. I think, man, I just all I see is positives.
And to Chad's point, what Tony Coleman posted on his X account is I feel like Roach is solid and like their program can develop me more. That's what he said. So a testament to what Freddie Roach is doing on the recruiting trail. These kids believe in him.
And he also got the label of associate head coach a few weeks ago. Yeah. So nice get by him. You know, obviously a big feather in his cap. And going back to real quick last night and talking about Saban and DeBoer being together, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, later with the basketball commentary. The best selfie I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure. Did you guys see it yet? Have you seen the one on social media? I'll try to pull it up.
Yeah.
It's Jalen Milroe taking a selfie. And on his right is Reese Davis.
I saw this. Yeah.
On his left is Kalen DeBoer. Behind him is Trey Mullinax, Justin Thomas, and Nick Saban.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Saban's just talking golf now. Yeah. He doesn't care about recruiting anymore.
Saban's worried about breaking par. He doesn't
football. Yeah, right. Like, what do I need to do on that 9th green? You know,
he's probably like, hey, how do I get on Augusta?
Yeah, right. You can hook me up, right? Yeah, you know, David, you bring up a great point, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but since you brought it up, I think it really does matter. I feel like, and I've said this on the shows this week, and this is what Sunday Rollback's all about, is going back and kind of talking about the news of the week. You talked about our friends at the Next Round, Disrupt the Media, you know, which we're a part of, and them being able to go to the Malmore building and actually do a show, right? Yeah. I think that this is a step in the right direction for Alabama, because Nick Saban has been, you know, he was so worried about anything media related. Right. These guys have opened the door, and all it's going to do is just get more exposure for Alabama.
Yeah, and I think that's the future. I think people want to see that, especially the kid. They want to be on the inside. They want to see what's going on. Yeah. But us fans as well. And it shows the side of Kalen DeBoer, a secure side. He's okay. They even joked at the Next Round that even if we see everything you're doing, we can't steal, because he's so creative, because he'll just come up with something different. And that's great. I love to see that. I am truly excited about it. I think he's going to be great. Of course, as we all could say, Nick Saban, who can fill his shoes, we'll see. We're about to see if he can fill his shoes. I mean, you know, he's going to be on a short leash with some of the Alabama fans, but we got to give this guy a chance. And I definitely think he was the best hire, and I'm ready to go. I wish the game was tonight, man.
Yeah, really. All right, well, let's talk about this then. The fact that spring practice starts this week, guys, and there's so many different storylines. First off, we all want to see what it's going to look like with Coach DeBoer, obviously, as Alabama's head coach, right? And I want to start with the quarterback position, because I think some people really feel like there's a lot of growth that needs to happen. Right. Jalen Milroe, passing game, probably mid-range, short passing game, being able to throw guys open, and want to have a really big time, you know, it's wide open quarterback competition. I don't get that feeling. Now, I think it's Jalen Milroe's job, and then the real battle is going to be for the backup spot. What do you think, David? I'm going right down the line.
You know, it's a good problem to have. Look at all the talent that's there. My thing is, how in the world are you going to keep all of them? But I go back to that picture of Austin Mack standing there, and there's Milroe, and we know what kind of specimen Milroe is, and he looks like a little kid there next to Mack. So the future's bright with him if he just hangs in there. Everybody on the roster, quarterback, quarterback wise, I think he'll have a shot. Lonergan, look how good. Look at the hype was behind him. You know, of course, Ty Simpson. You want the best for the guy, and I hope he really steps up to the plate here. And when he did get a few shots, other than the South Florida game, when he got in later on, he looked much better. And also, I go back to look at Jalen Hurts when he left Alabama, went to Oklahoma. He was a good quarterback at Alabama. When he went to Oklahoma, they progressed him. Different coaching staff, maybe slightly different approach. So, hey, who knows? Who knows what they all may bring their game up 2 or 3 steps. And Milrose showed a lot of promise. There's things he needs to work on, but I don't see how he couldn't be the starter going into the season.
But you, Chad?
Milrose a starter. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And it's his team. I mean, the only way that he doesn't stay the starter all year is if he comes out and looks terrible and Bama starts 2-2. You know, that may be the only reason he's not the starter. And the 2 losses would, be Wisconsin and Georgia. And I don't think there's any way you lose to Wisconsin because Alabama they got the better athletes. It's a Jimmy's and Joe's type game there, but Georgia's the one, But I think that's the only way it's not Jalen Milroe. He starts the year, and I kind of think it's based on how those first 4 games go. If you're even looking for a controversy, which I don't think there is one whatsoever. What's weird, and what David was saying is that, or Elvis, talking about is that you got a new college football, man. And I don't know, Nick Saban was a master at getting guys to stick around, even though they may only get to play like 1 year or 2 years. Bama very rarely had 3 year starting quarterbacks.
Right.
It just doesn't happen, or it didn't happen with Nick Saban. It gets harder with NIL because guys go, okay, yeah, I could get 1 year as the Alabama guy, or I can just go somewhere else and with NIL and be somebody else's 1 year guy and, get 3 years of work, 3 years of experience. I mean, a good example, I know people point to Mac Jones and they say, well, look, he waited his turn. He worked his way through the system. He had 1 year and then he became a first-round draft pick. I think he was 15th overall to the Patriots, or maybe it was 13th, somewhere in there. But so they say, well, look at what Ty Simpson. Well, now you got Austin Mack who has come in. But the flip side of that argument is Drake May. Drake May gave up on Alabama. He went to North Carolina, and now he's going to be a first-round draft pick.
Right.
And he had 3 years. Did he ever win a championship? No. Was he ever even considered as a playoff contender? No. Like, best case for North Carolina and Drake May was, oh, I'm an outside-ish contender for the ACC championship game. Like, we might get to the game of a bad conference championship, but that's it. Nobody was taking North Carolina seriously. So these kids, championships are obviously important. Kids want to win. It gives you an advantage when trying to showcase your talents on a bigger stage and whatnot. But at the same time, if you're getting 3 full years and you're out there just chucking it around and slinging it around, look at Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels went from a wash-up, no-name, terrible Pac-12 quarterback at Arizona State under Herm Edwards to now a potential first-round draft pick and a Heisman Trophy winner because he went to LSU and spent 2 years there. So the transfer and the NIL and wanting more reps, more exposure, more playing time, it's just going to become the new norm. And you're going to see kids coming and going nonstop. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. I can't believe Ty Simpson is still here, just to be honest. Like, I was shocked when he said he was going to stay because he had to know Milroe was going to get the first shot. Now you've got Austin Mack, who's a 4-star who's come in, and he's going to be pressuring you for the spot next year if you stick around again. But this is a former 5-star, and nobody knows how good he is.
Right. Well, Chad, Jersey Dolphins, one of our great viewers, says you're in the comment section with everyone now, and we're live, so we get to talk to you guys live. And I want to throw this one up there, and everybody can kind of chew on this. Jim says ESPN is pushing Milroe because they know he's the weakest version of Bama they can get this year. I'm not arguing that ESPN hates Alabama, but I hate ESPN, so I guess it's a two-way street. Tried to watch that pregame show yesterday. It was garbage. I mean, I'm glad it was in Tuscaloosa, but that's as far as I can say about that. With all of that said, roll tide to all you guys hanging out here. Chad, I'll start with you and then go down the line. Is Milroe, does he make Alabama the weakest version of Alabama?
Well, that would mean that Simpson or Mack would have to be the starter, and we have no idea how good they are. So how do you answer that? I mean, you can't. Milroe still, even though he's far, far, far from Tua and Mack and Bryce, like they're not even in the same. Like that's comparing NFL and Division II. I mean, they're that far ahead of him as a quarterback. But Milroe makes plays to win games, and he has a different element with his legs, and he has a different style. But as far as like, it's a big drop off, I guess is the best answer. But then what's the drop off from Milroe to the next guy? And that's the problem. We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So you got to remember though, too, we give Milroe a hard time. Last year's team had to be Nick Saban's favorite team. I know he won national titles with other teams, but you could just tell there was something different about that team. And a lot of that credit goes to Jalen Milroe, because Milroe took a position that Nick Saban said preseason, make me play you. That's what he yelled at Simpson. And I already forgot the other guy's name, Buckner and Milroe. He was yelling at him like, make me play you, make me want to put you into the game. And so that's just it. It was a drop off, but I think Milroe's still the best option. He finds ways to win. Is it comfortable winning anymore? No, sure wasn't. It was a lot of heartburn last year. But they literally went to overtime against the national champion in the Rose Bowl.
Right.
So,
with the guy that couldn't even snap the football.
Yeah. With a guy who, threw
if he had a
ground balls
center
to the
like we're going to
quarterback.
have this year.
Yeah.
Brett, what do you think?
I think we're giving this guy a hard time for no reason. Milroe, I mean, like we mentioned, we almost played for the national championship last year. It's is there a quarterback battle? Yeah, for second place. It's going to be Milroe's job. It's going to be Milroe's job to lose. Milroe's going to be the starting quarterback, but who's going to push him? And also, Coach DeBoer, his offensive scheme and his offensive philosophy is what's going to elevate these quarterbacks to the next level. Is there's going to be someone who rises above? I don't know. Spring training starts tomorrow. That's what it's all about. Who's going to win the job? I can't wait for 8A, because we're going to get to see some of these quarterbacks. And then we'll have a better feeling and have a better discussion on who's going to be probably number 2.
All right, let me read this. Thank you for the super chat. I haven't had one of these in a while, but Roll Tide Adam, great to see you, brother. He says, Milroe is a great athlete in person, but he struggles to read progressions and read defenses. He misses wide open receivers. Did that against Michigan. There should be a quarterback competition. Dylan Laudergan could be the guy. And, and that's for you, David. I mean, I'm kind of with you on Laudergan. I haven't seen him except the 8A game, but I've heard a lot, and it feels a lot like when Tua was there. You kept hearing buzz about Tua, guys that I know that were allowed to go to practice because they played at Alabama, kept telling me about Tua. They're doing the same thing about Laudergan. Could he be like a dark horse?
I feel, Laudergan, we don't have enough. The sample size is so small, but what we hear is great. And like you said, if you hear that enough, there's got to be something to the buzz. I do think the job is Milroe's. I think he proved that he's earned that. He does have some improvement areas, but a lot of times that first year starter to the second year, the progression is great. And you've seen it before, like the guys were saying earlier. Look at Jaden Daniels moving from Arizona State, look like a totally different guy when he come to LSU. So the possibilities there. I think Milroe has all the tools possible. A little slow in the progressions, reading stuff, but his legs make up for a lot of that. Only the real high end teams were able to defend him decently. That's true. Other than that, he was able to make plays and get us through. It was interesting. It kept you on the edge of your seat all year long. It's kind of like watching the old Alabama games. We got spoiled a little bit, just having the elite players. So it was fun when we won. And like you guys said, we got to the, eventual almost national championship game there against Michigan, who I think we could have won that game. Of course, Michigan made some mistakes. We did too. But going forward, I probably think somebody like Mack or Lonergan's the future, but I think Milroe is the guy now. I really do.
Going into practice, Alabama has 5 scholarship cornerbacks because everyone bolted when Nick Saban left in that position group, and also in safeties as well. Only one guy with experience, and none of those guys played at Alabama, right? That have experience. Damani Jackson, who transferred from USC, is the only guy with experience. Jaleel Hurley was on the team but didn't play, right? So you got all these other guys. Now you got a lot of talent. I'm concerned about this group a lot, and I've probably said it a million times that I love Jalen Mbakwe. I think he's going to be a difference maker, but still, it takes time to progress. Even Kool-Aid wasn't fantastic as a true freshman; he was good. What to you guys is the position that you're worried about the most? And then we're going to flip that and talk about the biggest strength, but the biggest worry going into camp.
I think you just nailed it there. You take a guy like Caleb Downs, he was able to come in and start, but those guys are so rare. He looked like he was a 3-year starter his first year. Yeah. No matter, like you were talking about Mbakwe, the talent's there, but does he have that ability to come in and learn everything immediately and get right on the field? We'll see. We'll have a lot of talent there, but a lot of inexperience. I definitely think you hit the nail on the head with where the worry is.
About you?
Secondary is it's going to be probably the biggest concern. And I'm with David, which, by the way, Adam in the comments section said David looks like Elvis. Well, if you're just joining us, he is.
Well, thank you.
He's in town performing, really. I mean, and his show was fantastic, by the way. We're going to talk about what it's like being Elvis. I mean, because you've done that for a long time. And he's out of Birmingham and really elite at the job, guys. So if you're just tuning in right now, it's great to have David Lee in studio. All right, Brett.
But yeah, the biggest concern is going to be the secondary. And you were talking about Mbakwe and some of those other guys coming in. Who's going to make the biggest impact? Who's going to make an immediate impact? We don't know yet. It's that jump. I don't care if you're a 5-star athlete. You're jumping right into the frying pan, going to the college level, especially the level like an Alabama, an elite program. That learning curve is pretty steep, guys. And that's a concern there in the secondary.
I'm going to throw you all a curveball. Like that.
You say that is. You say running back. I'm getting out of here.
Kicker.
No,
kicker.
No, Justice Haynes for president. Okay?
Yeah, right. You say running back. You're off the show.
No. Nothing on the offense concerns me. All right, but everybody's harping on the secondary. Here's my biggest concern.
Don't scare me. If you say defensive line, you're probably right, but I don't want to hear it.
No, you could. But how about kicker?
Don't be cruel.
How about place kicker? That's the one that scares me. We got so spoiled with Will Reichard, and it's not like Alabama was running away with games last year. We needed Reichard all the time to hit kicks. So, guys, we got spoiled. You remember what it was like when you had Papanastus and
don't even
Tiffin
start.
And Adam Griffith. You had
all the jokes.
Cade Foster. Remember Cade Foster?
Yeah. Who was the guy that missed the 5 field goals at Arkansas? You were there, weren't you, Chad?
That was Lee Tiffin.
No, it was young Lee Tiffin.
6. That was Lee Tiffin. What was it? Jeremy Shelley was like perfect, but he could only kick from inside of 40.
Yeah.
So if you went beyond 40, that's where Cade Foster would come in, and it was like a knuckleball every time. So to me, the kicker spot is going to be huge. I know what you mean. Secondary, obviously. But how many games, especially in the SEC, and as stacked and loaded as it's getting worse. Like, think about, okay, you got Texas, you got Georgia, LSU's always going to be good. Well, now Ole Miss is good because Lane Kiffin has become the portal king. And they're going to be a top 10 team preseason. Not to mention just you're adding Oklahoma as well. I mean, power program. So special teams wins games, like flipping the field and burn up is good. But you lost Will Reichard, the NCAA all-time scoring leader. You lost him. He was automatic on kicking. Yeah. And that's something that's going to be tough to replace. And I think we forgot just how awful it was.
Well, he was here for like 15
holding
years.
Your breath all the time.
It seems like that's what it was.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great 15 years.
It was a great run. Man.
It's like when the guy would come out, he was going to make it every time.
Yeah.
So let's talk
Thanks
about
for the memories there, Reichert.
And
it's his day to shine too at the The NFL, what is it, combine today?
Is
At
today
noon?
his? Okay.
Yeah, today's his day, starting at noon. So we'll get to see
Surely
him.
he'll land somewhere. I mean, he's
Oh,
just
oh,
too good of a kicker now.
yeah.
There's a bunch of NFL teams that are going to sign him up.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Send
would
him to
take him.
Nashville.
He'll get drafted. He's like the next Justin Tucker type guy, man. I mean, just his ability to kick the ball. All right, biggest strength of the football team to me is running back. I love Justice Haynes. Those guys were chomping at the bit. Saban always seemed to, like kind of hold these guys back.
Yeah.
Almost lost Najee because of that.
Right.
And we finally saw Justice in the championship game. Then they pull him off the field.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a reason why Alabama didn't have more success on offense. I can't wait to see a dose of him, Richard Young. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that can run the football that are going to make an impact.
Exactly. Well, when we finally got to see Haynes really just play his game, it was impressive, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think he would definitely be the guy. We got a lot of talent there as well. That's a good problem to have when you're not sure which guys are going to be the feature back. Haynes is going to be in there. Richard Young. The future is bright for Alabama at almost every spot. I'm like you now. Defensive line maybe a little worried there too, because you got to have the depth. You got to have but overall, I think we're in good shape over.
All right. Chad threw you a curveball on the last one. Biggest strength. Ready for this? Center.
Yes.
Parker
Yes.
Parker Brailsford, the transfer.
Yes.
He's coming. Thank you. Oh, yes. But I like the running backs too, guys.
But it's an upgrade. The guy, it has to be an upgrade. I mean, there's really no way to get worse. I mean, I don't mean to put McLaughlin down, but man, he had a rough year.
Yeah, he
had a rough year.
25. They counted 25 missed snaps,
and it was all through the year. It's not like it was the first 4 or 5 games. He never got it down.
I know.
And he's great talent, but man, what a shame.
He can block.
I wish him all the best. I really do.
Yeah, all the best, except if they play Alabama. But
exactly.
like you talk about Elephant in the Room podcast and Jay Coker. I said, how many bad snaps did you have? He said 1.
Yeah,
really 2, and 1 was his fault.
Yeah.
So I mean, and now I know Ryan Kelly's a perennial NFL star type player, but still, I mean, to 25 bad snaps,
it's
what a hole that was.
I've never seen that many bad snaps, especially with a team with a talent about it.
We should have won the national championship with a guy that couldn't snap the ball.
Yeah, you're right,
Chad.
Yeah. I mean,
were you going to go
Jalen Milroe? If Jalen Milroe ever wants to go play shortstop, he's got the short hop down. I mean,
I feel bad for him.
He can nail that, man.
How many no-look snaps did he get? Like where he's over here setting something,
Yeah,
he's trying to
play called
he's trying to look at the defense, and part of his job is he's got to look and then kind of reset the offense based on where it is.
Comes the ball,
and the ball snapped over his damn head. I mean, it happened in the worst moments, and the guy still beat Auburn.
Think about this.
I mean, made something good out of it. But boy,
think about this. Jake Coker told you that he has 2 bad snaps all season. Okay.
Right.
McLaughlin was almost averaging 2 bad snaps per game. Let that register for a second.
I know.
That's how bad it was. It literally almost think of what they had to pull out all the time. The bad snap, I believe it was against Texas A&M when Milroe wasn't even looking. Then the bad snap against Auburn that set it back to where it became 3rd and goal from the 20-inch or whatever, and then 4th and goal from the 31. I mean, it's a huge improvement. Bama's interior line, the guards in the center position this year. I know last year we talked about probably the best in the country, or top 5, top 10 in the country going into the year, and we were really disappointed with how a lot of that was taking place early on. But by the end of the year, it had gotten much better, much improved. This year, I'm going to quit reading the message boards and the magazines and the hype if they're not very good this year, because you got the number 1 offensive line transfer anchoring the center of that line, and then 2 fantastic guards who are returning. So it should be a really good year for Alabama. But I am more excited about the running backs. Jam Miller's great. Lost Jace, lost Roydell Williams to Florida State. But with Jam Miller, and he showed out in the SEC championship, and then Justice Haynes. I wish he had gotten more carries in that Rose Bowl because Michigan didn't have an answer for him. I think he averaged about 8 yards a carry in that game. And for some reason, Tommy Rees didn't want to give him the ball more. But Alabama with the running back, and that's kind of been Bama's MO over the years, right? Like just loaded at running back. Going back to Sherman Williams, Bobby Humphrey, Derrick Henry, you name it, TJ Yeldon, Najee Harris, Mark Ingram, just on and on.
Eddie
and on
Lacy is right on my Daniel Moore print here.
Right.
Yeah, you go forever with Alabama and running backs. I want to say there was a stat I saw because Georgia fans were chirping on Twitter the other day that Alabama has, and I could be misquoting this or something, but like Bama running backs present day in the NFL, like active running backs, career yards are like almost double what Georgia has.
Oh, yeah.
In turn, like talking about running backs who excelled in the NFL, and Alabama is just a poster child for that.
Yeah.
Well, Chad, while you're up there, let's change subjects and talk about the whiteout at Coleman Coliseum. You were our representative courtside yesterday. What a great atmosphere. I mean, like the celebrities were out. The fans were there. The student section made Coleman Coliseum the best home court advantage it could possibly be. It's just not built for intimidating the opponents.
Right.
It's just too big. You guys know I graduated from there, and I've had some fond memories there. But a bulldozer and a new arena would probably make games like that a little bit bigger. Your thoughts, though, on what you saw yesterday?
Man, I don't know how long we want this show to go, but this could be a show all on its own. Because
did you wear white?
You know what? I didn't. I actually didn't. Because the only I don't wear much white anyway, and so the only white that I have that's Alabama, it's more like a faded T-shirt, and it's got a big coffee stain on it. So like it's more just my workout shirt or my yard shirt or like playing ball or something than anything. All right, so let's start on a few things. One,
you're ready for this. You're ready.
I've been jumping at this. One, talk about the crowd.
I was just thinking the shirt, he would have fit right in if he would have went to the game at Auburn or something,
Oh yeah, well there were plenty of seats down at Neville last night. Plenty of seats.
Plenty of white I could have worn.
Yeah.
Rhinestones and everything.
Love that.
So if the crowd yesterday, fantastic. Like Coleman sucks at what you're talking about, intimidating, because the stadium does this. It kind of goes away from the court and up high and away. It's not on top. Like you would see in a lot of arenas or stadiums or whatever. I think Neville is too small. I would prefer something though like 10,000. I think is a good number for arena wise. But the crowd was into it. They did a fantastic job. They were loud. They were standing a lot of times. They understood, when to stand and when to kind of like try to rally and get things going again. But it was intense. I walked out of the tunnel at halftime, restroom, grab a water, and my ears were ringing. It was so loud. That's how loud it was, especially right there at the end of the half, because Alabama had gone on a 12-0 run to take the lead going into the locker room. As far as the venue itself, I saw a sign yesterday that kind of summed it up. And I love Greg Byrne. He's a fantastic AD. And I know he's more like the basketball guy, right? Like he's always been known for, he's really done well with basketball. And of course he landed DeBoer. So that was great because that was his first football hire. But if you look at Coleman Coliseum, it's just a dump. Like they freshened it up, but all they did was polish a turd 15, 20 years ago. And when they did all this,
they could have built one back then.
You're walking around, but you're walking around and it's like there's a random concession stand just planted in the middle of the walkway. And it's for like Dippin' Dots. And then there's a random beer cart and then a random this. It's like there's no flow. Then you get up there to the concession stands. Those are now self-serve. We've turned into self-service at the concession stands. Like you check yourself out with the little machines. The food sucks. They're like certain corners that it's in. Just the overall feel of it, it looks old. They did refurbish it, obviously, but it still looks old if you kind of look around and check it out. It's not like bright and shiny. Like Bryant-Denny Stadium is unbelievable.
I know it is.
But Coleman Coliseum couldn't be as far in the other direction if you wanted it to be.
No.
And somebody held up a sign last night, and I could not believe they put it on the video board, but they did, and it was awesome. And it said, costs are never going down. Build the arena.
Yes.
So, like, we all sit there and complain and whine and gripe about it and say, build the arena, build the arena.
This is right up your alley, though.
It is. This is me. So, and for those of you who don't know, being in the mortgage real estate world. So here's the deal. If you go down that path of, we're just going to wait for costs to go down. What is the one thing in this country that has gone up year after year after year after year? It's real estate. What has gone up since COVID? Costs. Guess what happens to cost once they go up and people continue to pay those prices? Do you think the suppliers step back and go, hey, we're actually able to produce these materials and these goods for less money now, so we're going to bring the cost back down to where we were because that's what's fair for the consumer? They don't care about you, the consumer. They're going to keep the cost because it's capitalism as high as they possibly can until you say, I'm not paying that price anymore.
Bingo.
That's the only way you get suppliers and people who are selling goods or selling materials to come down is you quit buying them. And they say, okay, or they get disrupted. And you have to come in and have a different product or a different alternative or a cheaper version or whatever, somebody who is willing to do it at a cheaper price. And that's why you have monopoly issues and antitrust in government and in this world.
Right.
So all these things, when I saw that sign, it just like clicked. It's like you can make whatever excuse you want to make. Okay. And that's fine. And if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. But quit talking about cost. And you're waiting and this and that, and we got to work on costs. We got to figure out a way to get it down. The more you wait, the more costs go up. It'll be more expensive next year. It'll be more expensive the year after that.
Right.
And the only thing I saw, this was a good idea, it was kind of an outside the box one, was supposedly there was a group that said, hey, we'll build you the arena and we'll give you, it was like, I don't know, 150 nights out of the year to use it. But it's our arena, but we'll give it to you for 150 nights each year. And I don't know if that math works. Well, but they've got to come up with something because it sucks and it could be so much better. And I'm fearful that you'll eventually lose Nate Oats if you don't increase the facilities in the basketball side.
Yeah, I think you're right. Adam on the message board says we've got to go to the Elite Eight or Final Four before we do it.
We've been to the Elite Eight.
Competitive, but I don't believe. I don't believe that. I think you need and money. Give me a break. It's University of Alabama. Money's not an issue. Build the gym, build the arena, build the field house, whatever you want to call it. Build it. But going back to last night, the Tennessee game. Of course, I felt good going in because we had the winning streak. But all good things have to come to an end, and it ended with 16 games. And Tennessee, now, they're dangerous. That's a good basketball team. But Alabama's two lowest point totals in SEC play have both come against the Volunteers. 71 at Tennessee and 74 last night. Didn't shoot well from behind the arc. Kind of live and die by that. 24%, 9 of 37.
And ice cold at the end, too, Brett.
They went over 9 minutes without
like
scoring
Godfrey was
from
back
the field.
It's like Mark Godfrey's days. You remember that?
Yeah,
we used to always go 9 minutes without a bucket.
They went over 9 minutes without a field goal.
Hobbs.
Yeah, and
Grant.
You're wondering how I made it home so fast from Mobile last night. I was getting so pissed off that I kept mashing the gas.
Hey, Chris Stewart calls a hell of a basketball game, by the way.
I left Mobile with the pregame on, got home with the postgame on. It was perfect. Worked out just fine. But the Tennessee, I mean, they're going to win the regular season unless something catastrophic happens, and it's not.
Well, they still have Kentucky and South Carolina. I mean, it's not.
That's two tough teams.
That's two tough teams. Kentucky owes them, and Kentucky's capable of beating them. And South Carolina thinks on the road. I mean,
but guys,
we owed them one too.
Wednesday.
We're going to lose Florida. Wednesday. See
Yeah,
ya.
we're losing Wednesday, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
We-
Bama's
we'll
just
see how this
hoping to
team
hold on to the
responds.
4.
Yeah.
We owed them one last night. They beat the hell out of us by 20 plus at their place,
Yeah, that's true.
and then they come in and beat us on our home floor. The most exciting thing probably from yesterday. How about the kid hitting the half court shot on ESPN for 19 grand?
That was the
At
only
the
thing
Horn.
good about the ESPN show.
Yeah,
He
Like,
did it at the Horn.
ESPN is so bad. I tried to watch them, like, this is awful. But then that kid hits the half court shot, and you're like, all right, well, you know what? That's
Yeah, it's
entertaining.
worth the watch.
I'd rather
Worth
just
watching.
watch kids take half
There you
court
go.
shots than anything that ESPN puts out there.
Well, here's the other thing, though, and I hate to be like the negative Nancy for Bama basketball fans on this. One, the job that Nate Oats has done this year is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
The fact that he was within 10 minutes last night of winning another SEC championship after losing all 3 assistants and 70% of your offense from last year is unbelievable. That's amazing. Okay. The problem is this team, even though they played good defense for the most part last night at times, they're not going to last, in my opinion, in the tournament unless they just outshoot you.
Yeah.
That's their one option. If they shoot lights out for 6 straight games, they got a chance to be in the Final Four.
Right.
But the odds of that are so low because they don't play enough defense on the other side.
yeah.
And teams like Tennessee who do play defense, or if you run into a long Kentucky team or a UConn or Auburn or a Purdue, look at it. Bama hung with Creighton, Arizona, Purdue all year long, right? Beat Auburn, got waxed by Kentucky and Tennessee on the road, hung with Tennessee at home, but all neutral site games, it's just going to be a problem. Bama can hang around because they can shoot, but they can't finish. And last night they shot below 25% on a 3-point rank or 3-point line, and you can't do that.
Adam says we have an endowment of over $1 billion. Again, thank you for the super chat. Why can't we take $100 million and put it into an NIL fund and use the endowment to build a new basketball arena? It's something I really don't know about, but we need a new we need a new arena.
I thought the arena was going to cost a lot more than that.
Well,
200 million.
but like I said, Alabama's well endowed.
All right. I'm going to switch
Family
over.
show here.
Take it over, Elvis. Take it.
Now a
Take it from
gospel
here.
song.
That cues up a song of some sort. I don't know which one you want to go with, David. There's a song in there somewhere.
I'm telling you what. You just got everybody
We
all
can't
shook
edit
up.
this. It's live. Yeah, Bama's
Well,
definitely down.
Here's my problem with it. If football needed it, it would happen tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't even matter.
Well, and I think
And
that's the thing is
that's the problem.
because Nate Oats is taking a program and taking it to the next level, but we're not to the football level yet. But I think the eyes are open now. I think Nate Oats, because of Nate Oats, we will get the arena. I do believe that. I think we're doing that. He's got a good product and it's only trending up. But how do you guys feel if we still had Betty Yako on the team from last year?
Oh,
It would be a different
Yeah.
team one.
It's the
just one
missing
guy.
link.
Just
Yep.
one guy
You-
would make the difference.
He's
I agree with you.
he's
The job that
like,
Nate Oats has done this year with a team that started out the way they did and almost win the SEC. Still a good team. Just not quite there, And basketball is a little different than football. You're going to lose a lot of the guys again this year. So what will the team look like next year? It's very fluid.
I love Bediako, and I don't wish any harm to Bediako by any means here. But I hope he loses his passport in Europe or wherever. Because
leaving us.
Yeah.
I don't know who convinced him it was okay to go pro. There was no doubt Brandon Miller and Noah Clowney were going pro.
Yeah, Brandon Miller is only the best rookie in
Right,
the league
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, those two pro, hands down, no doubt about it. But then you look at Bediako and it's like, Chuck, what are you doing? What are you doing? You need another year, man. And God, the rim protector that he would be, he would completely shift this defense.
So
And it
different
would
team.
be
Really.
such a different team if you had Bediako in there. And I love the guy. I do wish him all the best. But man, if you talk about a massive hole in the lineup, that's it. And I hate that you lost that spot to a guy who didn't even get drafted and now is trying to work his way back in somewhere. And it's like Alabama could be so much better, and he would be the superstar on defense.
Yeah.
Like it would only help him at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
The slave boat.
Hey, by the way,
stock would have went way up with one
you
more.
better figure out how to keep Sears.
Yeah.
Because I think he's got one maybe COVID year eligibility. And Sears isn't NBA ready, I don't believe, from what I've read and with scouts and drafts and everything. I don't think he's NBA talent just yet. But imagine another year of Mark Sears.
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully we'll keep him.
Yeah, the season's not over yet. Hey, Steven, out on the course at Perdido Bay, roll tide to all those Auburn fans, our RMFT, as we like to say here. Yeah, look, I wish that we had somebody like that on defense, but I think you said it best, Chad. They have a chance to make a run if they can shoot, but if they don't shoot, they're in trouble. But David, I think you made the best point of the whole conversation. Just the one guy that we're missing.
I mean, one guy would have changed it. Yeah, they're definitely live by the sword, die by the sword. If they're shooting good, nobody can beat them. But when they're cold, I mean, you can't go 9 minutes without point. You just can't do it and expect to win against teams like Tennessee. We did shut Connect down pretty good, but the other guys stepped up. Good teams. Yeah. Tennessee, as as I hate to admit it, they're a good team.
Yeah, they are.
Teams like that find a way. They're not going to quit fighting. So, but we're on the upswing, man. You got to find the positives in there, man.
Yeah, really. At least we have a basketball team worth talking
That's
about.
Right. That's exactly what I was trying to say a while ago. And I think because of that
is different.
We'll
we went from living on the bubble is trying to get into the 8, 9, 10 game to, all right, are we a top 4 seed?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So that is
well, one more thing I was going to say on the arena, when somebody like Mick decides to build a house or whatever, I mean, maybe Mick can pay cash, but most of us have to finance it. So, Alabama surely can finance an arena somehow. I mean,
I wonder if they could get a loan from this place called Bryant Bank.
Yeah, you would think they know somebody. Maybe
that's a great point, guys. It is. That's it. Well, here's the problem. And this is why I've been beating the drum on a new arena for 2 years, is that you finally went out and found the coach, right? You got the guy.
Yeah.
And if I'm him, I don't care about why the seas are rough. Yeah. Just bring the boat in.
That's right.
And eventually now you're going to be dealing with Michigan. You're going to be dealing with Louisville. Everybody in the country is looking at what he's doing at Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa, where we have legitimately built ourselves into a top 25, top 15 basketball program. And they're going to say, hey, we'll buy him out of his contract. We'll have the money for NIL. We got the arena. We got the fan support. Mm-hmm. We got the media coverage. And I mean, eventually, if you're him, you're going to be like, hey, Alabama, it was fun.
Yeah.
But I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Isn't his buyout, though, like the 3rd highest in college basketball?
They'll pay it, though, Chad.
I know they will. But I mean, at least, but it would take
in basketball right now.
Yeah.
Nate Oats? I don't think there is.
Well, Jay Billis even talked about the other day on a Barstool show that it was, I don't know his name, but Indiana State's head coach was like one of his top 3 coaches in the game. Maybe like up and coming, because obviously, you got guys like Bill Self, who are up there, and Kelvin Sampson and whatnot. But if you look at just guys who maybe fly a tad under the radar, he mentioned Indiana State's guy and then Nate Oats. He said what Nate Oats has done at Alabama is remarkable.
All right, question for all you guys, and quick. I'll start with you, Chad. I'm going to go straight down the line, David, then Brett. Who would you have if you could have any basketball coach, NBA, college, instead of Nate Oats? Who would you pick? Or you can have Nate Oats.
Dan Hurley.
Okay, you take Dan Hurley.
There's no doubt about it. He's done it everywhere he's been.
I say Nate Oats. I like what he does. I think he's got what it takes. And so far he's done more with less. If Alabama steps up, gets the arena, we're already getting good players. We wouldn't have got years ago. We wouldn't have got these guys. I think he's the guy. I just hope we can keep him.
Yeah, I'm a Nate Oats guy. I like Oats. I think you need to do everything you can to keep him. The board last year approved $183 million, for the arena. How much is that mortgage payment on that, Chad?
I don't know.
Just do I finance that for 6 years or 10 or 12, 15? What?
Mick would qualify. I don't know about that.
I've got good credit. I did just buy a car, so it might have gone down a little bit. Look, I'm going to say this too. I think Nate Oats is the perfect fit. I mean, I know there's other great coaches out there, but what would they do in the environment that has been created in Tuscaloosa? You're bringing players into a bad arena. You're bringing players into a program that's learning to love basketball.
Yeah.
It hasn't been on. We've had years and years and years of being mediocre to bad.
Right.
And it's like our women's program, which I talk about all the time. It's like it's non-existent.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's elevated itself to this height, and I'm afraid that anybody that came in would not have the success because of all the distractions that are out there. This guy has dealt with the administration. He's been able to go out and recruit. He gets 5-star players. Then he gets them to play, and it's a new team every year.
Right.
This year's team can't play a lick of defense.
Yeah.
And yet they're still right there on the bubble.
Yeah.
They were this close to being in the driver's seat for a championship again. It would have been the third in 4 years. That's not even Alabama.
I know that's crazy to even say that, but it's the truth. Oats, he can coach. He can coach, man. But also he's great at the press conferences.
Yeah.
He owns stuff. He doesn't dodge stuff, and he's a likable guy. And to me, that matters. I'm a fan. I'm a Nate Oats fan.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, guys. At the game last night, Nate Oats was there, right? And then, but you also had Coach DeBoer and Coach Saban in the room at the same time.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it was, for me personally, it still felt like Coach Saban was the guy. He just all the energy in the room goes straight to that guy. There's truth to Big Nick energy.
Well, that's right. Well, let's put it this way. Nick Saban is the Elvis of the coaching world. Like it was said about Elvis one time, he could walk in a room full of other stars and he was still the star.
Yes.
So, and that's the way Nick Saban is. He just has that aura, that presence about him that I don't care. I don't care who comes behind him. I think they will pale in comparison to that aura, and now, DeBoer may be as good a coach one day. We don't know that yet,
right.
But that image, that rock and roll image, baby, he's got it. Yeah. Like you said earlier, he's looking to get in Augusta now, and he'll get there. He'll get there, man.
Yeah, he's got the money for it.
He's playing golf with like 50 Cent or something the other day. Come on, man. Nick Saban, baby. Unreal.
Yeah. I will say this. I texted a friend of mine last night because I didn't know Saban was going to be there. I saw Justin Thomas pregame walking around and down on the floor. And then I heard a little commotion. And we were sitting behind the basket, but on the opposite side of the floor from where the Alabama bench is. And so Byrne and Reese Davis, Milrose, Saban, Miss Terry, Justin Thomas, all of them, that's where they sit, is over by the bench. And I heard commotion over there, and we look over. It's like 15 minutes before tip-off, and Saban had just walked in. And it was like everything just changes. But that's always going to be the case. He's the modern-day Bear Bryant, and he's, to me, he was better. Greatest coach of all time to go through college football and what he did. So he's always going to have that. But I'll say this, and one is DeBoer, at least publicly, and we'll see how it goes, but he's handled it so well, with the, hey, I'm following the guy, and attention is going to continue to be on him.
Right.
So if he's going to be around, which DeBoer says he wants him around,
right?
If he's going to continue to be around, then DeBoer is going to have to swallow the ego a little bit and be like, even though I'm the coach now of the program, this guy being around is going to knock me down a peg, because it's still going to be focused on him when he's there and when he's visible. And we'll see how that plays out. But one thing I was just thrilled with, and this was so awesome, like the feeling I get. I was always worried that Nick Saban was so robotic that he would coach, win his championships, leave, pretty much never come back, go somewhere, retire, sit on the lake, never to be seen again, and almost to just like, hey, thanks, it was fun. Good luck to you. I'm going to go over here. And he's now like this ambassador.
Yeah.
Like he goes to play in these PGA Tour Pro-Ams. He's wearing Alabama gear. Like he's showing up to basketball games. He showed up to the A&M game, showed up last night to the Tennessee game. And the fact that he just talks and loves on Alabama so much makes me have an even greater appreciation for Nick Saban that I didn't think was possible. But it just makes me love that guy more with the way he is like further embrace the university and the community as like, hey, these are my people.
Yeah,
like, I love you guys.
He's us. He's us.
Yeah, not just, hey, it was fun and I'm
Same
out.
thing. When I seen him in the Alabama gear out on the, I thought, you know what, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, he's still repping for the Tide, baby. That's it. Well, he is one of us. He's got his spot forever. You know, when I was growing up, Bear Bryant was the legend. Like my daughter's 25. She was raised knowing that Bear Bryant was as good as it gets. And then this guy, Nick Saban, come along. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Could he possibly? No way he could be.
Yeah.
And then here he goes. I mean, he retired on his arm. He could still be going. So it's something I think will only the legend will only grow on Nick Saban for sure. And I think he'll be around for a while. I think DeBoer would be crazy not to have him in his back pocket there for help, man. And check your ego there a little bit, because this guy's done it. He's got the 7 national championships, and I think that's what DeBoer's hungry for. So I think he's smart enough to know, hey, I want this guy on my side.
Yeah, no doubt.
Chad thought he was going to turn into Bigfoot, just escape into the Georgia wilderness at the lake. and he comes back every so often, and he's got this big beard, and he looks like David Letterman when he retired. He grew a big beard. No, man, he's the Ric Flair of college coaches.
Woo!
Without probably not going to do the generic Viagra commercials, probably not going to have his own cannabis brand, but Coach Saban is the GOAT, man. And talk about another guy that I just want to mention real quick, because I could squeeze it in right here. Happy belated 89th birthday to Gene Stallings.
Hey, yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday was Coach Stallings' birthday. He looks great, and looks like he's doing well. So happy 89th to him. It's hard to believe that he's almost 90. But no, Saban, when he walks in the room, he just – yeah, it's like I mentioned, it's like, a star is in the room, and it's going to be that way because he's the greatest to coach the game. So anyway, that's no Bigfoot.
Well, here's a great transition, because we invited David in, and his he did a concert in Daphne last night. It was really fantastic, and I'm going to put him back up on the stage again, guys, so you can get a look at him and kind of what he does. What's it been like for you to travel around, not just as an Alabama fan, but someone from the state that gets to do Elvis? And you've won the ultimate Elvis, which I think is awesome, man. I mean, like, that's in Nashville. It's like the king of the kings, right?
Yeah, that's held at Graceland, so it's the largest. For me, it's the Super Bowl. It's the World Series. If you win the ultimate Elvis, that's what you got. So now I do what you're showing there. I travel around the world. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, actually right outside of Birmingham and Tarrant. I'm just a little guy from Tarrant, Alabama, that's living my dream every day. Even being here today with you, Mick, I love this. I love what I do. I get to meet great people like you. I travel the country, just keeping Elvis's memory alive. This year alone, we're going to Australia, Germany, New York, California. I just got back from Colorado last week. Of course, we were here in Daphne last night. Next week, I'm back in Birmingham, and then off again. It's just a constant grind of shows, but I absolutely love it. It's a dream come true for me.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and all of us are Elvis is such an icon too.
Oh,
man.
yeah, man.
Not just a Southern icon, but a national icon.
The new movie,
an international icon.
The movie that came out last year, like last night, there was 12-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old Elvis fans because of that movie. So his memory will keep on and on. And people bring their kid to one of my shows, and then they become an Elvis fan because of me, which is pretty cool, because otherwise, I wish he was still here, but he's not, and like you were saying, Coach Stallings, Elvis would have been up there in age now. So guys like me are what keeps it alive.
Yeah.
So, and we're endorsed by Graceland, which is cool. And of course, with everything, there's, like with college football, there's good teams and bad. So there's some bad Elvis guys, but don't, if you happen to run into one of those guys, it's a joke. Don't judge Elvis on that, because there's guys like me that really take it serious. The costumes are 100% legit. I mean, you seen last night that, we try to recreate it as close as we can. And Elvis was fun. Like to joke on stage. I don't know if you noticed last night I was cutting up with the band.
Loved it, man.
It's just a fun thing to do, and it brings joy to people. And I'm very blessed to get to do what I get to do.
He's fantastic. I was telling Brett, I know you're a big Elvis fan. I don't know about you, Chad, because I've never talked about it with you. But
if he's not, block him out right now.
Yeah. What, you got any questions for David?
Well, I'm a huge Elvis fan also. I grew up, my mother, huge Elvis fan. So I grew up around it, and you're right. I mean, you're one of the top Elvis guys in the world, and it is something that you mentioned. There's some bad ones out there, don't let that one. But I was talking to Mick. I think I have an itch here. You have the really, really good ones, but Elvis in his latter years, he'd gained some weight.
Right.
Could I pull off like the big Elvis?
I got a suit I can loan you.
No one else is doing it, David. No one else is doing it, I don't think. Like you have the leather Elvis, and what you do.
The big elbow Elvis. Elbow Elvis.
Yeah, you got the Army Elvis, the young Elvis, the Hawaiian Elvis, now the big Elvis. There you go.
You
Big
don't have
elbow.
the one that was afraid he was going to split his pants.
There you go. There
And
you
it
go.
would be me. I could do it,
But
man. I
could you
pull it
sing
off.
though? Could you sing?
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
Yeah, what's your
Look,
favorite
one
Elvis
step
song?
at a time, guys. One step at a
There
time.
you
But
go.
David,
Yeah.
you live close enough. We can practice this.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not too far from you. What's your favorite Elvis song, Brett?
American Trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, this is a
I
big,
love
big
that.
power ballad, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the power, and where a lot of people don't. I love his gospel stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the gospel. I'm a Christian guy, so I'm a huge fan of the gospel. We do entire Elvis gospel shows, and just a few weeks ago at Graceland, we were there for the Tribute Artist Weekend, and they put me in charge of producing the gospel show, and what an honor. And Elvis recorded over 80 gospel songs, which people don't realize. And, when Elvis sang country, it was great. When he sang rock and roll, it was great. When he sang blues, it was great.
Yeah.
And, of course, gospel. And that's what he first heard was gospel music. And so Peace in the Valley, How Great There Are, on and on, Crying in the Chapel, the songs are there, the classic Southern gospel songs. And then he was going more contemporary towards the end of his career. He had recorded some gospel albums with some more modern stuff, not like today, of course, but you're talking back in the 70s. So at that time, it was definitely cutting edge for gospel.
Do you ever come to Georgia?
Yeah. We
Adam
usually at least once or twice a year we're in Georgia. We do an annual show in Toccoa, Georgia. Me and the guy that was with me last night, he does usually the younger Elvis. He's also an ultimate winner. And then in Helen, Georgia, they have an Elvis festival every year, usually in the fall. I won't be there this time, but it will be going on. It's usually in the fall. I have my own event in northern Alabama in Gunnersville, so that's not too far from Georgia there.
Yeah,
but I've played Macon and Brunswick, and I'll be in Brunswick later in the year, right?
Yeah. You have a website, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. DavidLeeShow.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook. David Lee, World Class Entertainer. Just type in David Lee Elvis. It'll come up. And I also do Conway Twitty, so don't let that throw you if you see it on there. Hello, darling.
Now, how do you switch up from that?
People ask me if I ever get it confused. I've been doing Elvis for about 28 years, and I know I don't look that old, but I am, Nick. I'm 29.
That's how I feel about myself too.
But there you go. But I've been doing Conway for about 6, but honestly, the singing style is totally different. Of course, the look, and Elvis moved a lot. Conway was more gesturing, but they're two different animals. And I don't know. It's like when I'm doing one, that's what my mind's on. And I don't really think of the other one. I don't even really want people to know I do a different artist when I'm doing Elvis. People say, "Oh, sing a Conway song." I have been known to do it, but usually if you see me as Elvis, that's what
you want to be focused in on that.
Two of my other favorites is sort of lesser known. Promised Land. Do you do that one?
That's my favorite Elvis song.
Yeah, that is a great.
It's the only song he mentions Birmingham, Alabama.
Exactly. Birmingham. And then I guess it was his last hit, Way Down?
Way Down was climbing the charts the day he died. Yeah, that was on the Moody Blue album from '77. Yeah, great song. Yeah.
And J.D. Sumner, that was the lowest bass note recorded.
J.D. Sumner, way on down.
Yeah. See, I'm more than just a big head right here, Mick.
If you pulled out Way Down, then you're a fan. I'll give you some cred there. Yeah, absolutely.
The street cred. How about you, Chad? You've been so quiet over here through this.
I mean,
went over Coleman last night.
Yeah, I watched Elvis.
How pissed off were you? Because Elvis actually played at Coleman Coliseum.
He did, because that's what Reese Davis talked about. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the movie Elvis. I know some songs. I don't think I could get away unless they go with the Elvis, the balding version of Elvis. Me and Elvis we're kind of trending in different directions at times. So, no, I mean, I've never done the Elvis show. Like I said, I watched the movie, and I see a bunch of the, things online, and I've never been to Graceland, any of that stuff. Nashville.
Okay. Hey, there's Nashville. There's a festival coming up in Nashville in a few weeks. Check out some of that stuff sometime. You'll be surprised. It's fun. Even if you're not a big Elvis fan, you'd enjoy it, I think.
It's not that I'm not a fan. It was just before my
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
I'm not as old as
your
Mick.
time.
Hey, that's what guys are like me are for. Right?
Yeah,
that's right. I mean, really, it is like you get the impersonators and see some of that and hear some of those songs and whatever. So I will give you a lot of credit, though, man. I mean, I'm no music expert, but everything I've seen that Mick's put up, they sound awesome. Show looks good.
It was great, man. I mean, it's you got to see it in person.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, sure.
like it really was fantastic.
Well,
I mean, and we brought them to the Smokies.
Yeah.
But the stories I was just trying to find an Elvis. We had one of those bad Elvises for Elvis night, which I sold to the team. So we had to do it. And then we had a bad Elvis. And I was like, okay, I'm taking this over, which is not in my lane. But there's certain things at work where I'm like, as a vice president, I'm like, I'm going to do this.
Sure.
And so I contacted Cody, that guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I can't do it. You need to talk to David. Yeah. So then you show up. And the first minute, I meet you, I go to shake your hand, and you're like, "Hey, roll Tide."
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Yeah, and it's a small world when you really think about it. Man. It's crazy. The Elvis nights up there. I had my jersey on last night.
Yeah,
I love it, and I get more compliments on that jersey, man. So I'm repping for the Smokies too, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, you do a great job and become a great friend too.
Absolutely. Yeah,
we love Elvis so much in this house. So I mean, it's kind of you come into town. I hear this. I know this language.
Yeah. Well, like you were saying, Elvis. Everybody knows a little something, whether they've seen the movie or they knew Elvis said "Thank you very much," or whether it was peanut butter banana sandwiches, or like Brad said, way down the song. Something. My mom was a big Elvis fan. Those kind of things. Elvis would just had that. He was a good-looking guy. He could sing. He could dance. He was the first rock and roll star. Think about that. The first rock and roll star. And get this, I've heard Nick Saban reference Elvis. Like people said, who would you like to see? If you could see anybody in concert, he's mentioned Elvis multiple times. So even the great Nick Saban was an Elvis fan, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I take, Nick Saban always would say, don't practice to get it right. Practice till you can't get it wrong. When I have something coming up at a festival, maybe something I haven't done, I always put that in the back of my mind. I'm like, you know what? I'm not just going to barely prepare. I'm going to do it. I'm going to practice whatever song it is. Because at these festivals, a lot of times you get the rare songs.
Right.
You get Suspicious Minds and stuff, but you also get some deep cuts, which is great. But, not
you want to nail
all the time. But I never put a lyric sheet down. I always learn the words. I always know it frontwards and backwards because Elvis's memory deserves that. Yeah,
right. Chad, before you bounce out of here, and I know the show's almost over, tell everyone about ChadwickAnderson.com. We call this guy Catfish, David. And the reason why is that we went back when Alabama stunk with, what was the guy's name? Mike Shula. We went to the LSU game, but we stayed at Harris Casino because his dad had points there.
Right.
And we saw his dad win $32,000 on one pool and then maybe like 12 on another pool. It happened within 5 minutes of each other at the casino. And it was unbelievable. Wow. And then he was high-fiving us with $100 bills. Actually helped pay my down payment on my first car that I, bought new.
Yeah.
So his dad was calling everybody Catfish. So we call him Catfish in that honor, but it's awesome. ChadwickAnderson.com, Catfish.
Yeah, no, I mean, the mortgage world's been pretty nuts. Although, David, just so you know, we've all determined that Catfish Mortgage would be the worst name for a mortgage company ever in life. The SEC or the CFPB or somebody in a suit in Washington would probably frown on that name if we decided to.
It's a shame you live in Nashville where nothing's being built. I mean, there's nothing going up or no.
I know it's really boring here. Yeah, nobody's moving here. It's real boring. Very unpopulated. Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's been great. Mortgage world's pretty crazy. People have it's weird. They've kind of adjusted to the rates, and they're seeing we had a dip in rates about 6-8 weeks ago, and it just exploded for that little short window. Rates have slowly gone back up. We still anticipate them to come down this year, but it kind of just re-solidified the point that, hey, when rates drop, it's going to be an absolute madhouse. So we're helping people with refinances as well, because the country, unfortunately, is in a ton of credit card debt. So if you want to reach out, you got questions on a mortgage, questions maybe just about your budget, what you should do, what you should look at, some ideas, strategize for 6 months from now. Hopefully I'm still around and you guys use me then. That's my cell phone number on the screen, my email. I answer them. I don't have anybody do it for me. And if you scan the QR code and sign up there, then we hook you up with some free credits for being a part of the show when we get to the closing table.
All right, man. Thank you. And Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Brett Elmore. Look at this, man. You left me this, and this is sweet, dude. Look at that WJLX. Great calls on the Bevel State men's basketball tournament. Congratulations to Jasper women who won the state championship. And Antoine Odom's daughter was like the star player on the team. Roll Tide.
Yeah, Missy is just a sophomore, and she's going to wreak havoc here in the next couple of years. But yeah, congratulations to the Jasper girls. Congratulations to my Bevel State Bears. We played down in Mobile this past, and thank you, by the way, Mick, for allowing me to come over and stay with you. Met your lovely wife and your son, and a great family there. But join me in the morning, Monday through Friday, 6 until 10 a.m. on WJLX 101.5 FM. If you're in the Birmingham area, you got HD radio in the car, 102.5 HD3, or you could stream us live on the iHeartRadio app. The TuneIn, you can download our free app, listen online, WJLX1015.com. Got great classic rock, and we have a lot of fun in the morning. So I'll see you in the morning.
All right, Roll Tide. And then before I let you kind of wrap us up, David, let me tell everyone that we're brought to you by newlifeart.com. There it is. That is what the colored version of 4th and 31 looks like. I think it's one of Daniel Moore's best works. Yeah. Thing looks fantastic, looks great, doesn't it? Beautiful. If you guys want a copy of that, you can use the promo code Bama Tailgate to get 15% off at newlifeart.com. So that I have a lot of the championship prints. Right. I don't have a lot of the game prints, right, but that one, it just looks so great, it's beautiful, man. I just feel like I need that for somewhere.
Well, like Chad said about the prices are not going down, and Daniel Moore stuff will only go up in value. So, man, gorgeous and a good investment probably.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, David, we got a request via text here from Steve Hudson. Okay. Big fan of of Elvis and your stuff. He likes the Elvis Vegas. What do you like performing the best? Just kind of give us like what it's like doing, the picking the songs out, where people can find you, and we'll wrap it up on that.
Yeah. Vegas, my favorite era to perform the jumpsuits. Elvis had over 117 different rhinestone or decorated embroidered jumpsuits. They were flashy, like the one I was wearing last night in that video there. That's called the Arabian. It's from the later years, but very flashy, very sparkly. Yeah, Elvis,
whoever got that for you did a great job.
Yeah, well, cool. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. My boss got me that. Yeah. My wife. Yeah. That's what the good thing about being able to do the Las Vegas time, Elvis, is he did Hound Dog. He did All Shook Up. He did Jaws Right. He did all those songs that he did in the 50s and 60s. He did those in concert. So you kind of get the whole package in the concert. That's my favorite thing. As far as seeing me this coming Sunday, I'll be in Trussville, Alabama at the Trussville Civic Center. We're doing Conway with special guests, George Strait, Garth Brooks, Barbara Mandrell, of course, Conway Twist. So we're going country this time. We do a Star Series show there a couple times a year. It's one of the only local shows I do. And then later on in the year, I don't remember the date, we'll be in Huntsville, Alabama, where Elvis played at the Von Braun Arena.
Oh, wow. That is really cool.
May 25th. So we try to keep Alabama, like last night, obviously in Daphne, we try to cover Alabama, but
right. Man, Elvis was here a lot.
Oh,
we live in Fairhope.
He played Mobile 7 times, but he also he even played Viger High School back in the 50s. He played the Lad
We sat
Arena.
next to a guy that was at Viger High
Yeah.
School. They said they kicked Elvis out.
Yeah,
three
exactly.
songs.
Yeah. The principal, whoever, just they didn't like the unorthodox Elvis. Elvis is kind of tame in today's world of entertainment, but in those days, man, people thought he was the devil. Man, they didn't never see anything like that. He was just letting out what he felt inside.
Yeah, right.
Now it's commonplace to do that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, man, great to see you. And
Mick, I
best of
appreciate
luck,
you having
dude.
me. What a great top off to my weekend. Hey, roll tide, everybody, and thank you very much.
All right. And don't forget, if you're not a member of what we're doing here, it is free to subscribe and be part of the program. Thank you to Catfish, Mr. Chad Anderson. Thank you to Brett Elmore in this awesome T-shirt, by the way, Brett.
Oh,
Roll
no
Tide to you.
problem.
And David Lee, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for hanging out with us, and roll tide, everybody.